Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. In the next few videos, I'm going to be reviewing the Nokta double score. Now, I inquired to DLEC about doing a review on one of the scores, particularly the double score because it had the features I wanted on it. So I also told her that I was very critical of detectors, and I may have a different view, and a lot of it's personal view on, how I think detectors ought to be and stuff. And I even sent her the video where I'm kind of dogging the Manticore. So she watched the video. I told her I was pretty critical, and so she sent me a double score, which I greatly appreciate, DLEC, for you doing that for me. I sent her an initial email. I haven't even dug one coin with it. So I'm doing basically a head-to-head with the Manticore with the hardware. How good's the frame, and fit and finish, that kind of stuff. How's the buttons feel? How does the buttons look? So I sent her an email, and I had a lot of positives and I had some negatives. And so she had a couple of questions. I clarified it. I actually made her a personal video to look at. Her and her engineers were going to look at that. I asked her meanwhile if I could post a video of all my findings, and she said sure. So my hat's off to Nokta and DLEC for doing that, because some of these things I'm pointing out I think are, in my view, critical. Others you might just blow it off and go, well, he's too particular. But I have a buddy that I detect with, Bill, aka Dirt Fishing on YouTube, and whenever we get a new detector, we watch the videos and stuff, and we go, these companies have too many yes men. White's was guilty of that. They'd come out with a new detector, and the videos were just so positive and whatever, and we'd get it and we'd go, this is a piece of crap. We should be testing these detectors. And so anyway, DLEC took a chance on me, and so I'm going to show you what I found, and you guys just leave comments, what you think and whatever, and whether I'm just blowing smoke or it's just me, whatever. So let's just get into it. All right, so we're doing a direct comparison with the Manticore. So let's just start off right in the very beginning, that the Manticore costs 4 times more than the double score. I mean, literally. This is a $1,600 machine. This is basically a $400 machine. You can get them for $395 if you call it a dealer. Let me explain that to you. So let me take my hat off. So I was a White's dealer for about 25 years, and a Fisher dealer for about 5. And I don't know about Nokta, but Fisher and Garrett, White's, all have what's called a MAP pricing, MAP, that stands for minimum advertised price. This helps keep all the dealers on a level playing field. Now, so if you look online and everybody is at $427 for a detector, no matter where you click, that's for a reason. They cannot advertise publicly anything lower than the MAP price. So the way dealers get around that, basically a dealer can give away a detector, but he's not going to advertise free detectors, right? So and he's not going to advertise a double score that is 425 or whatever it is for 385. That would be against the MAP pricing. But the way around that, the dealers, and the way around it when I was a dealer, is if you call or send an email, anything other than advertised, you're not asking them to advertise that price. You're calling them direct or emailing them direct, and they go, look, we can sell you that detector for $395 instead of $425. That's all legal. That's within all the perimeters of the map pricing. And so when you see a detector, a lot of times on the new releases, they won't come down. But pretty much if you make a call or email or a message, you can get a machine either at a lower cost or something thrown in. Maybe, hey, if you pay me $45, you get a pinpointer, something like that, or I'll throw a hat in and a pouch. So you see what I mean? So anyway, that's how map pricing works. So basically, if you call, you can get this for $400. If you call around, most dealers are sticking with the price of around whatever it is, $15.95. But virtually, it's 4 times more money for the Manticore. So what do you get for that? Well, let's just find out. So the first thing I look at is the box. So I get it in the mail. I see the box. You know, this is a little shorter, fatter, longer, skinnier. But what I like here on the Nokta score is right here. It's got a handle. And you're like, who needs a handle? Well, let me tell you something. That's really convenient. Let's say you're going to go on a trip. You can just open this up, put your detector back in here in all the slots, and maybe put a piece of tape on it, and you can go on your trip, throw this in your car. A good little thing to have is the handle. The Manticore does not have a handle. So yeah, this doesn't really mean anything, but actually it does. So little things like that is what I pick up on. So let's look at something that is an issue on the Manticore, which I can consider fit and finish. So you have this sandwich piece right here, and it's obviously glued on, and you get this glue. You can see it in there. If you have a Manticore, you can see all this globular crap in this seam where they obviously adhered this face onto this body right here, and it's sloppy. Should that be that way? Well, is it going to hurt anything? Probably not. It just looks bad for a $1,600 machine, right? So let's look at the rest of it. The rest of the fit and finish looks really nice. Okay, I'll give them that. There's nothing wrong with the fit and finish, other than this part right here. Now I take the double score, and obviously this is the parting seam right here. It's absolutely perfect. There's got to be some kind of sealant in there, or a seal. You do not see any remnants of anything coming out. So right off the bat, as far as fit and finish, that goes to the double score. I tweak everything. I grab it and I twist like this. These are both very comparable as far as strength goes. Now, this one here has the ratchet where you can almost infinite adjustments right here. You know, each adjustment is probably 3/16 of an inch. Now, the double score has, best I can tell, 3 adjustments on there. They're manual, but we all know once you set a machine to your arm, you pretty much set it and forget it. So nothing wrong with this. This is just them getting a little fancy. This is, you know, the tried and true method, less to go wrong. So I'm just going to call that a wash, because this is complicated. This is simple. As detectorists, we don't need all these little increments. Okay, we just don't need it. All right, the next thing is the angle of the hand grip. So I'm going to line this up. Now you can't line it up even, because let me show you here. The distance between the center of this shaft to where your arm rests is a lot farther on the Manticore because of this ratchet system than the Nokta double score. So we have to compensate for that. So I'm going to have to just kind of hold this up where these two places here, the very bottom of the arm cuff, line up. I'm just going to do that by eye. I'm pretty good at it. I can get it pretty good. And then I'm going to line this up center. So right off the bat, what you see is the angle of this handle on the double score is tilted forward about 5 more degrees. I haven't measured it, but 5 to 10 more degrees than the more straight up and down Manticore. Now, this angle is too straight up and down, just like the E-Track was too straight up and down. It needs to be a little more forward, and that's what they've done on the double score. They've made it more ergonomic. Now the other thing, if you want to look at, is you see how this handle is smaller in diameter here, and it goes larger, and then it goes smaller here for your trigger finger. If you look at the Manticore, I've measured them too, so I know this is true. It's wider across the bottom, and it's more narrow across the top. And you're like, well, who cares? But if you just go natural like this, stop here, or go just touch that finger, smaller here, larger here. That's exactly what they did right here. They made this to fit your hand. And when your hand is in here, you see it's wider here. This keeps your hand from sliding up, because as it slides up, it gets bigger. So your hand is going to stay in position a lot longer and feel better, because it's actually conformed to your hand. You get this trigger finger on here, and I'm telling you guys, this thing feels like a well designed high-end pistol right here. I mean, it just feels great. The Manticore, since it's more narrow at the top than at the bottom, and there's no trigger finger groove right here. You put your hand in it, immediately you want to slide up, because as you slide up, it gets smaller, so it just naturally goes up here. So I find myself all the time bumped right up against here, and you'll see people are making these silicone bumpers right here because your hands are automatically going to ride up. Well, that's not the shape of a hand grip at all. This is silly. And it just doesn't make sense. So, somebody took a hand and said, hey, let's design it like your regular hand grip. So yeah, I don't like this at all. In fact, there's a lot of times when I'm running this and I put my little finger under here just so I'm not up here. And I'm not going to buy some silly big silicone pancake to put right there, So sometimes I run it like that. It just keeps my hand down here. I don't like it up against here. And also, it's grippy all the way around, like this. You grab it, you're there. This is only grippy right here. So the rest of it's slick. So this design's way better. The other thing that really bothers me on the Manticore 600, 800, 700, 900 is these stupid side buttons. Look at that. What's that? Could you put like 2 more buttons here, 2 more buttons here, get rid of these? I think these side buttons are a pain. Sometimes I think I'm pushing on them too hard, especially my old 800. It seemed like I had to push really hard on it, and I know that there's some kind of switch in there that I'm pushing against that's soldered to a circuit board that I'm pushing against. Now the Manticore seems a lot easier to push than the 800. I already turned that on. But what's with the side buttons? It's silly. This is why I like this one. No side buttons. No additional places for it to leak. You know, all your buttons are on the front. That's where they ought to be. Right here where you can hit them with your thumbs. So I just like that design better. Alright, so let's look at this cap retainer here. So you take off your headphone cap to put your headphones on. And we have this rubber tether. Okay, so let's look at the double score. You take the cap off and you have a cable, and it appears to be a stainless cable. I don't know that for sure, but this just looks more industrial, more like it's going to last. Nice cable than this rubber right here. So anyway, you know, I'm not picking any one apart. I'm just showing you what I think. So I will say this right here, this knurled nut right here on the Manticore, as far as attaching your coil, has a real nice knurled nut. Really, I wouldn't say sharp, but along the sharp line. You know, you grip it really good. Now, the Manticore, the double score is not so much. Now, is it any worse or better? No, but it's just it just feels a little less grippy than the Manticore, and you can see that right there. This isn't knurled. It's got some straight lines on it. This one's knurled. I like the feel of the knurl better. Of course, I'm not picking any one apart. I'm just showing you what I think. Okay, so here we go on the shafts. So we know that the Manticore has a round shaft. There's no key to it. So here's what you get when you're swinging. Sometimes you'll hit a stop or something and this will turn a little bit sideways, so I'm having to come down here and either kick it with my foot and straighten it back up, or just reaching down and getting it straight. I have tightened these bails up, these cam locks up, as tight as I feel, tighter than I think they should be, and it still turns. I'm just afraid the way they feel, the plastic feel of them, that if I tighten them up anymore, that they'll break. So I've got them tight, but all the time my coil is twisting. There's no key to it. I was like, you know, and that's the deal about the round lower and mid shaft. But one good thing about that is when you're traveling, you can get everything down like this. Bear with me, like so. And when you're traveling, this is the way a normal detector is, like this. But with the round rods, you can lay everything down flat. I do like that. Now, let's do the double score here. Now, the double score does not have a round shaft. It's I don't even know what kind of shape that is, but it's not round, so you're not going to get this twisting where you look down and your coil is not straight. You're not dealing with that. But the issue with that is when you have everything collapsed and you want to travel with it, it's sticking up. Now I'm going to call this a wash because I don't like the key, no key right here. This is keyed so you don't have, while you're hunting, you don't have any of the issues of your coil spinning. This one does. So I'm calling that a wash. Um, if you could have this design and it would have a partial key in it where once you collapse it all the way, the key drops out of the slot and then you can turn it sideways like this. But anywhere but collapsed, it has a key in it to keep everything straight. All right, let's talk about coils. I have never read one time where a Nokta coil, the coil ears especially, has ever broke. I have not one time. The Equinox, every once in a while you'll read where a Vanquish did, but the Equinox had the issue. So MindLab knew they had an issue, so they solved it with this yoke type of connector right here. So I haven't heard anybody breaking these on the Manticore, but I think some of it has to do with this being able to turn. So if you hit something hard like this, the stress is relieved because it'll spin. This one here, if you hit something hard, it's not going to spin. And they compensated by these, I mean, really fat ears. In fact, in all the detectors I've had, different brands, and I've been detecting for getting close to 40 years, never had one with such thick ears. So I don't think that's ever going to be a problem, and I don't think it is a problem. So let's talk about coils themselves. So I had a Simplex, and I should have kept it, but I sold it to buy something else, and it's a long story. But my favorite coil on the Simplex was the 24 coil, which is about a 9.5 inch coil in that range. Like, don't quote me on it. You guys know what I'm talking about. 5.5 or 6 inches by 9.5 inches. That was an awesome coil. I mean, you could do all sorts of detecting with it. Of course, the Manticore comes with 11 inch coil, just like virtually all the other detectors that MindLab builds. Comes with 11 inch coil. This is a 12 inch coil, and I don't understand. Years ago, the standard stock coil on most all machines was between 9 and 10 inches. Then everybody went to 11, then 12, and then it's like, you're getting too big, guys. This is a problem I see with this. A 12-inch coil is not a good all-around standard stock coil to be selling with a detector. The 11-inch coil is borderline. 9 to 10 inches is perfect for all around. You can use it for, getting into tighter spots. You can actually, on a smaller coil, run it hotter, go just as deep as a coil 1 or 2 inches bigger, and it's lighter. So I really wish that we could have a choice on when you buy a detector. This has been talked about for 20 years. I want to buy a detector, but if I want it to come with a 6-inch coil, just put that in the box. Sell the detector, stripped down, no coil. What coil do you want? I'll take the 6-inch, or in this case, I'll take the SC24, and you just throw that in the box. I know it's kind of a pain for the dealers, but I really think the SC24, once fitted on here, is going to be lighter. Performance is going to be better. I just don't understand why a manufacturer would put a 12-inch coil on. A 12-inch coil actually should be a larger than stock coil. And also, when you're like MindLab, this is what irks me. MindLab has 11-inch coil, and the Manticores came out with the 8-inch coil and calling it a small coil. Well, 8-inch coil is not small. A 3.5 by 5 or anything 6 inches and under is a small coil. An 8-inch coil is almost getting to 9 to 10 inch coil, which would be a standard coil. I just don't understand that. Let's get on the buttons. All right, so I like to have a tactical feel button, which this is more of a tactical feel. It's kind of built up. The Manticore and the other Mind Labs all have this like a membrane, and it's fine. This works just fine. But I do like the feel of actually feeling a button, coming through my glove sometimes, or just feeling it. Just my, personal preference. So let's talk about these buttons. These buttons are hard to push. It's because they're flat on top. You can't hardly see it, but they're flat on top, and the perimeter of the button is, since it's got the plastic sticking up on the sides, keeps it more firm around the perimeter, and then the center part is harder to push. So I do not like that. I wish they have the basic buttons underneath, and then they've got this clear membrane over the top of the actual buttons. And I wish that they would make the top thicker or rounded upwards, so when you push, you didn't take as much effort. I almost have to get my finger right in the middle and push, and I just don't like that. And that brings me to the actual button alignment. And I saw this on Iffy. I think it was on Iffy's videos. And I've got to get a pointer right here. Let me get my knife out. This is a good pointer. So when you look at these buttons, the actual button is below the top clear membrane. So this one's perfectly straight, perfectly straight, perfectly straight. You see this button here, it's off center and it's leaning this way. This button is off center and leaning this way. But these are all perfect. All these are perfect. I saw this on other people's videos, and I thought it was because they were had a different angle on it. But once I got it, I can see that these buttons are not centered underneath that clear membrane. And I know it's a $400 machine, but they got all these perfect, and these two are off, and it bugs me. Here's another thing that I would like to see on the double score, and the score and the legend, whatever, is you have the M1, M2, M3, and then your 15 kilohertz. Well, the M1 it's weighted to the lower frequencies, which actually hit harder on the higher conductor targets. So M2 is weighted to the higher frequencies, which hit on lower conductive targets. The M3 is for wet conditions, which I don't know how that's weighted and what magic they're doing behind, the scenes. And then of course 15 kilohertz, which this is actually genius right here, to have a simple multi-machine, frequency machine with the option at this price point to run 15 kilohertz. 15 is a great all-around frequency. But here's what I'm getting at. M1, instead of M1, I would rather it be ML for lower frequency. M2 should be MH for high frequency, and then the M3 would be wet, so it would be MW, and of course 15 would be 15. That way you know immediately what it's weighted to: low frequency, high frequency, wet, 15. Okay, so here's another problem that it's just a personal opinion thing, but we're in the main menu down here, and this is what I call wraparound. You get to the end, see me blinking, and it starts back over.
I don't have to go back down. You see, if I'm here and I want to go here, I can just hit the button one more time. It's wrapping around. You see, um, so we go down here. Let's say to volume, and we go up. See, it doesn't wrap around. Go all the way down. Stops at 0. It's not wrapping around. Um, so we go to the iron filter. Go all the way down. It don't wrap around. Go all the way up. Don't wrap around. But looky here, you go to the discrimination, and we're going to watch that cursor go all the way to the end. We're all the way to the end. I hit it one more time, it wraps around. So you have the discrimination wrapping around. So I would just like to see all menus have a wraparound menu. So I brought that up with MindLab. So MindLab's answer back to me was, now I'm not saying MindLab did, but one of their testers and field engineers got back with me, and I said, why doesn't this main menu wrap around? So you go to the top, it stops. I got to go all the way down. Just make it wrap around. And their answer to me was they didn't make it wrap around because they thought that once someone got to the end and went one more button and it wrapped around, that they wouldn't be smart enough to know that the menu is wrapped around and keeps repeating itself. So I guess they figured us detectorists would be so stupid we'd sit here for 3 days thinking that we got, 3,000 menu options. So no, just make it wrap around. Much better. So we have 2 menus on this machine that wrap around, but the others don't. So I don't know if that's a little software thing you could do, or if, a lot of people are probably going to write, leave a comment thinking that everything's stupid that I'm saying, but this is just coming from me. One other thing that I don't like about the double score, probably the score is the same way, is the pinpoint button. I don't use pinpoint very often. If I want to verify, my discriminant pinpoint, then I will, on a weird target, maybe use the pinpoint button. But all the other detectors I've used has a pinpoint button that has 2 features, but it's both pinpoint. A quick push, it locks it into pinpoint. You don't have to hold it down. Or if you long press it, it stays on until you release it. But this one here goes through the discriminant mode on a short press, and on a long press is the pinpoint. So when I first picked it up, I just wanted to lock it into pinpoint, and I got to get out of the main menu. Lock it into pinpoint, so which is a quick push, and you'll see here it changes your discriminant mode. But if you hold it on, then it's on pinpoint. So I don't know where else you could put that button, but having a dual button like that, a lot of people would push it quick and then realize that they need to hold it on, so then they hold it on, do their pinpoint, release, and now their discriminating pattern has changed. So that could get some people in trouble. It's not going to make a big difference, but if I'm on ground and I do a quick push, you see I'm in, all the ferrous is knocked out, and then I realize, oh, I need to hold it down longer, so I hold it down, pinpoint comes on, I release it, I'm basically in a different search mode. So those two need to be separated. I don't have an answer for you on that, and I don't want you to put side buttons on there, but I don't know. Don't seem to be much room here to add buttons. But anyway, that just something I don't like about it. Okay, the other thing I don't like is I don't like that these notches are two numbers each. I would rather them, if you have 60 notch machine or 100 notch machine, have that many segments. So instead of 9 and 10, 11, 12, whatever, just each one have its own separate notch. Same way goes for, the sensitivity. You know, I don't like it that I push it once and then nothing happens, and then another one down, and then it happens. So each one of these are, two numbers itself. So if you have 10 segments or 10 numbers, give us 10 segments. Okay, so for years, let's get into this segment here. For years, you see this horseshoe and nail? For years on other manufacturers, that meant iron or all metal. That's not what this means. This means discrimination on this machine, and you have it repeated down here. That means discrimination. So I think maybe this one should have a check mark, like so. So I don't know. It's just something that, it's just an icon. But instead of a horseshoe and a nail, if that was just a check mark for discrimination, a lot of machines, if you're going to discriminate something in and out, you'd have a minus check, a plus check, or something like that. And so I think that would be more in line with other manufacturers. But it's, again, nothing that's going to take away from the performance. All right, let's talk about the manual. The score and double score manual is beautiful. Absolutely, this is superb. Most detectorists really probably, I'm just going to guess, are 40 and above. More detectorists are 40 and above than below 40. And once you hit 40, your eyesight kind of starts going south. And this is beautiful. The one that comes with the Manticore is about this big, and you just open it up into this big, sheet, and you got to hunt all over for what you need. This is very nice. It's got a satin finish. It's not too slick, so it's not sliding out of your hand. The use of color is awesome. All the lettering is large. So this is great. This is perfect. I just love the manual. So way better on that. The other thing that you guys may not think is a big deal, but here's the charging cable. Here's the one for the Manticore. Here's the one for the double score. And the double score cord is about 10 inches longer than the Manticore. Now, that alone makes a huge difference because my plug-ins are down low, and when I charge the Manticore, I have to lean it down or adjust the shaft to get the cord down to where it can charge. Now the double score is just the right amount, just the right length where I don't have to do that. But what I'm going to tell both manufacturers here is there's a lot of times you have a plug-in, and where your detector is, it's where you store your detector is farther away than the plug-in, and you got to move it. All this stuff, I know, I hear it. I'll probably read it in the description. Well, just move your detector closer to the plug-in. Well, if a plug-in is behind a dresser or something, and you want to put your, you want to sleep with your detector next to your bed, what are you going to do, right? So what I would like to see is this cord being 6 foot long. So if this cord's 6 foot long, you can plug it in anywhere. This shorter one on the Equinox, or well, Equinox too, but the Manticore and Equinox both are short, uh, is too short, way too short. The Nokta is much better, but it could be even better, adding 2 more feet to it. I don't know what Nokta is thinking on this by leaving this blank. I think they have plans for giving us another mode, because if they didn't, they would have just spread these out and filled this up. So they've left this open for a reason. Because personally, I don't like looking down and there's nothing there. It's not balanced. I like things balanced. I like things in a straight line. I don't like, that's just the way I am. So I think in an update or two, we're going to figure out what that is. So anyway, I don't think it's going to be a gold field unless they add like a 40 kilohertz in here. I don't believe it's going to be that, but I don't know what it's going to be, but I don't like the looks of that. So if you're not planning on doing anything with that, and I don't know if this is burnt into the screen, but if you're not planning on filling that up, I would love to see these icons spread apart, or at least evenly spaced. There's nothing wrong with the machine. If you watch one of my videos on my gripes about the Manticore, you'll see that I was just as critical on the Manticore as I am now on the Nokta. You guys, leave a bunch of comments down below. Anything else you want me to test or compare, and I'm going to be taking this out in the field now. So weather's turning good, and I've got a few places to hunt. And the next video, you're going to see this thing hopefully get me some gold on a beach. So until that video, take care. Please like and subscribe, share my content, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.